Hello, everyone, and happy Global Accessibility Awareness Day. I'm Caitlin Rogan. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm Group Product Manager over our UI systems and accessibility teams here at Sprout Social. To celebrate GAD, we have a new feature available to customers on all Sprout plans today, Alt Text by AI Assist. And to help talk through this feature with me and how we made it is Hannah Grover, Lead Product Manager of AI here at Sprout. Hey, Hannah.
Hi, Caitlin.
So, can you tell me about the alt text feature that your team built and is launching today for Global Accessibility Awareness Day?
Yes, happily. So one of Sprout's values is championing equity and inclusion, and we recognize that we have a huge opportunity to make an impact through increasing accessibility of content on social media. According to the CDC, 1 in 4 people are living with a disability, which could include visual impairment. And today, we know that a vast majority of images on social media do not contain alt text, which leads to a gap in experience for blind and low vision people.
Right. I remember seeing a statistic from Twitter in 2022 that less than 1% of messages sent from their platform included alt text. So, for people who are relying on that alt text to understand images corresponding with messages, it's just an incredible vacuum where information is not reaching a lot of people.
Yeah, totally. And at Sprout, when we hear something like this, we ask ourselves, how can we help make this experience better for everyone? And luckily, large language models have gotten really good at describing images with text. Today, we're so excited to launch an AI Assist feature to generate alt text for Sprout users. With just the click of a button, as you can see, users are given suggested alt text for their images that can be used as is or tweaked before posting. We hope that taking the burden off of users of writing high quality alt text from scratch will both save them time and also incentivize the adoption of alt text.
That's amazing. So, what sort of considerations were taken to make sure that the AI assist alt text is really of high quality?
Yeah, that's a great question. Writing high quality alt text is really tricky, especially when describing people in protected classes. AI models can make incorrect assumptions about a person's gender, race, perceived disability based solely on physical traits that are in an image, irresponsibly perpetuating biases. At the same time, the alt text writer has a commitment to their blind and low vision consumers to provide as much description as possible so that they can really grasp what the content is portraying.
Could we see an example of it?
Yeah, absolutely. So for this example in front of us, our model would describe this as a person using a white cane stands next to a guide dog on a paved path in a park. Instead of implying the person's disability, the model objectively describes only what's in the image, allowing the reader to contextualize themselves. And another nuance that we had to figure out was the right length and level of description. So for example, the same image could be described as a cup of coffee, or a porcelain cup coffee mug adorned with a pattern of pink flowers and yellow suns. The cup could sit on a wooden table and cast a shadow on the wood. And inside it could be filled with coffee and milk foam and garnished with 3 coffee beans. So 2 descriptions for the same image could look very, very different. And at Sprout, we're very fortunate to partner with a number of customers who are either accessibility advocates or have Sprout users with disabilities who are all incredibly generous with their time in helping inform our principles of how to write that alt text well.
Totally. We can't build an inclusive product without an inclusive approach. So, could you tell us a little bit more about how your team did that?
Yeah, absolutely. So we engaged 5 Sprout customers to help us build this feature. First, we conducted interviews with those customers to understand their guiding principles when writing alt text, specifically around describing people in protected classes. And then what we did with them was we took the past 10 images that they've posted on social media and looked at the alt text they wrote themselves and compared that to some of the options that our model was producing and kind of had a conversation with them about what they liked or didn't like about the AI generated options.
And I know
Yeah, go for it.
I know when you all finished your modeling, you kind of did like a final check with people internally at Sprout, including myself. And we kind of had the fun process of doing a quiz where we had to guess if the alt text was written by AI or written by the customer. And frankly, it was very hard to tell. I thought I was doing well, and I did not do well.
Yeah, I often fail those tests, but that's a great, the best indicator that our models are ready to go and we're really proud of them. And once we got to that stage, we re-engaged the customers who had been helping us prepare for this feature, and we enabled it for them a few weeks early. So they've been using it and testing it for a few weeks ahead of the GAG launch.
That is great. Thank you so much, Hannah. I'm going to bring on one of those customers to hear about her experience as a part of developing this feature. Hey, Alex.
Hi, Caitlin.
Thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me, and happy Global Accessibility Awareness Day.
Happy Global Accessibility Awareness Day to you too. So before we dive in, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. So my name is Alex Heinrich. My pronouns are she, her, and I am currently the social media manager for St. Petersburg College in Florida. And I also run the website Accessible Social, where I share resources for content creators and digital marketers on how to create accessible content.
Awesome. So I know that you were one of those users that Hannah mentioned who participated in some of the research and the feedback process of creating this feature, and you're also one of the beta customers. So I'd love to hear about your experience in all of this and why alt text like this is important to social teams.
Well, I was thrilled when Sprout reached out and asked if I wanted to be a beta tester and give a little feedback. I'm a huge Sprout fan. I'm a Sprout customer, have been for years. So anything that I can do to help make the platform more accessible and help the platform teach others how to make accessible content, I am so for. So I kind of was interviewed about my own experience writing alt text. And it was funny because they used some of the pictures that I used on my own personal social media and wrote alt text for, and showed me how the alt text by AI Assist wrote the alt text. And it was really interesting to see. So I kind of gave some feedback, shared my own kind of perspective when it comes to writing alt text, which is obviously different from how other people are going to write it. I am a white cis woman with no serious vision loss. So alt text is very different for me. It's not much of a personal experience like it would be for someone who has serious vision loss. And then I got to beta test the feature once it was launched a couple weeks ago for that select number of users. And it was just really cool to see how accurate it actually was and how detailed it could be. I had images that I uploaded that had like different flowers and different breeds of animals, and it was actually identifying them by like scientific names, but also known as, and then giving you the everyday name. It was really impressive.
That is so cool. And I think it's a good point that you made that each individual might have a slightly different approach to alt text, but just because we are individuals, but it sounds like what Hannah's team has done here is done their best to create rules for what this alt text should be that are equitable.
Yeah, and I really like that there is a line when you generate that alt text with the AI Assist that urges you to review it, since there could be inaccuracies or biases. And I think that's really smart because it's really not about having the alt text completely written by the AI, but more about nudging people to write alt text, remember to make their content accessible. So I really appreciate the thoughtful approach that Sprout Social and Hannah's team have taken when creating this feature.
That's awesome. So outside of using alt text by AI Assist, what one tip would you give to people watching this video to make their social content more inclusive?
I think because most people use these in their content, using hashtags and formatting them properly is a huge thing when it comes to accessibility. It's super easy. So basically, when you format your hashtags so they're accessible, you're going to capitalize the first letter of each word in compound hashtags. So if you have social media rocks as a hashtag, you're going to capitalize the first letter of social, the first letter of media, and the first letter of rocks. That way, assistive devices like screen readers are going to read the individual words and not as one long mishmashed word that makes no sense.
Awesome. That is a great tip. So before we let you go, where can folks keep in touch with you?
They can always find me on LinkedIn. I'm also very active on Threads now. And of course, you can always visit accessible-social.com if you want to contact me or learn more about creating inclusive and accessible social media content.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your involvement in this, Alex, and thank you for hopping on with us today.
Thanks for having me.
To everyone watching this video, thank you for joining us today. Please check out Alt Text by AI Assist and Sprout. And before we sign off on this Global Accessibility Awareness Day, I want to share one of the guiding principles that we hold here at Sprout about our responsibility to inclusion. And that is, if we believe that social media has the power to connect people, including people of all abilities only boosts that power. And with that, thank you and have a very happy Global Accessibility Awareness Day.